right, there we are. Oh, there we are. always an adventure with the live, low-tech stream here. But that's what you get for free, right?
That's it. Exactly right.
Freeware with no tech. So anyway, hey everybody, this is the Jimmy Doane Show, and we're live, which means it's 4 o'clock. If you're listening live, New York time. We do this twice a week, Sundays and Wednesdays, right here on Facebook, and then I'll post a timestamp copy up on YouTube and Twitter later on, also up on Parler and Gab, if you're looking for us. You can also find us around the web. If you search for Doane, D-O-A-N-E, you can find us in audio format. So join us for the review. Today is the 12th day of July, 2020. What is happening?
All right, well, we're still in total lockdown.
Yeah,
which is interesting because we're going to have a little talk to say about that. But let me just first of all bring us up to date.
Okay.
On the gun-toting couple.
Mm-hmm.
Circuit Attorney. I don't know if I shouted this last.
No, we
didn't. Sorry, I missed Wednesday, by the way. So it's been a week, but you know I'm back.
It happens.
City Attorney Kimberly Gardner, who is St. Louis' top prosecutor, issued a statement after the June 28th incident in which she said she was alarmed by what happened, that any attempt to chill the right of people to peacefully protest through intimidation or threat of deadly force will not be tolerated. Mm-hmm. Calls to Gardner's office on Saturday ran unanswered. Meanwhile, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch reported Saturday that a public records for interviews show the McCloskeys are almost always in conflict with others, typically over control of private property. So no,
it's like they're in a whole bunch of lawsuits all the time.
All the time. Now you have to understand, these are two. What do you call it? Personal attorneys.
Attorneys, whatever. They're attorneys. I don't know what kind. Personal injury.
Yeah, personal injury. Okay. Right. So they're used to being in court. And they have no problem in filing suits. I remember one of the things that made Donald Trump famous is he would file suits at the bottom of a...
Look, if you got $1 billion, you know what happens? Suits get filed on you all the time.
Right. So anyway, they did an investigation and find out that these people have sued their HOA or whatever it is and so forth about their property and some property rights and so forth. So what they're trying to do is
to paint them as mean,
horrible people.
Yeah.
What kind of people are these? Obviously, frowny people with guns.
Yeah.
And all that happened was a couple of hundred people broke down the gate right in front of their house and marched through and basically, hollered out some stuff. And
if they'd have passed out some punch and cookies or something, it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, yeah. So they walked out there and waved their weapons around, and
potentially saved their lives.
But who was to know it? Of course, at that point,
yeah.
How would you know, especially when you had seen in various areas of St. Louis where mobs had burned stuff down?
Sure.
And so so now you've got, here you are in your little gated community. Somebody has broken in. That's called breaking and entering.
Yeah.
That's a crime. 300 people. How are you going to hold them off? I mean, what are you going to do? You
do what they do. You have to do that. And it's just amazing here. The irony, once again, we are pitching through the irony like it's freaking iron in the freaking mine.
Yeah.
And because if you think about it, the entire protest wave has started because of an overreaction from the police.
Right.
This is they overreacted to what Floyd was doing,
right,
and they killed him,
right.
And so here they're going to fix it. They're going to overreact to these people with the guns, and they're going to go after them. And you see this all over the place. It's amazing. Like Donald Trump's the new law, the statute, 10-year prison mandatory minimum for busting down a federal statute. I mean,
for a statute.
For a statute, excuse me.
Not busting down a federal statute.
I'm Freudian myself there.
There you go.
I had a tweet about it. I was like, no, we said the statutes, not the statues. So anyway, but yes, they tear down one statue, or you're the guy up on the horse, or you're the guy who puts the rope up there or whatever, and you're looking at 10 years in prison. 10 years in prison. I mean, look, there should be swift consequences for you can't let vandals just run around and smash cars and stuff.
Well, but they do.
Well, but
that's the whole point.
Well, but here's the thing: the reason they do is because they're not focused on the right areas. You know, they've been tagging these people and then releasing them.
You're right.
And ostensibly, you would think that they would go back to them. They would get a notice to appear sometime later and say, "Come in and answer for your crimes." And there should be some retribution for all this kind of stuff, but we're seeing it disproportionately applied in places. I'll guarantee you some of those protesters will get 10 years in prison for the statue.
Oh, for the statue.
Yeah,
no
the statue. Right.
Okay.
I'll bet you a few of them go down hard.
Really?
For that. Yeah, and you saw because they'll make an example out of some of them.
Well,
and like the people. Did you see the couple who vandalized the mural in the road?
Yes, we're going to talk about that.
Okay, well, I mean
you know, this is to me is so stunning. I mean, I just sat there and I was blown away by
a lot of effort was put into that mural. It's artistic.
On the road, on a public road. Okay, right. You got away with this with lettering that is 2 blocks long,
right,
and a block and a half wide.
Right.
Like, curb to curb wide.
That in and of itself was vandalism to begin with.
Exactly. Exactly.
But, okay, it doesn't hurt anything. I mean, maybe it makes the road a little more slippery. A bicyclist falls down every once in a while that wouldn't have
I'm
otherwise.
suing.
Well, hey, who knows? But these other people go out there and paint over it, and now they're being charged with vandalizing the mural. And you wonder, I would bet you that those people end up doing way more time than, for example, people who went and vandalized the sporting equipment center or the car parts store. The people who burned down the Target are not going to see as much time as the people who rolled over the mural in the road.
Right.
But my point, I mean, they need to get more focused. Justice needs to be just a little bit better at doing that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, it's
talking about justice.
Yeah, well, I mean,
the blind lady with the.
That's the one. Yeah, she needs to open her eyes or something.
Well, no. Unfortunately, she already got one eye open.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, look, you see it, and there's analogous. I mean, we also saw Hong Kong impose their big security thing. Now you can get life over there for stuff.
Yeah, right.
And then we saw other law enforcement stuff this week. Roger Stone, of course, was commuted. Okay, his sentence got commuted because he's looking at an amazing amount of time for lying in a situation that everybody knows was a setup. And I mean, even if you don't think that the president, even if you think the president did all the stuff, it was still a setup to get Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And
yet, of course, unfortunately, he was the kind of guy that really walked into it.
Oh, totally. They knew that.
Yeah, I know that. Because he was such a blabbermouth.
It's like it's like getting the Donald in for a deposition.
Right.
I mean, what? Oh, you just. Oh, what? I mean, it's what an easy target.
Yeah, exactly.
And So, we see these differences, and they need to get things straight. I keep saying back, the one thing they could do really to change the entire dynamic, and they can do this at any level, is end the war on drugs.
Yeah.
The president could do it with executive order tomorrow. He could legalize marijuana and cocaine or whatever, or the DEA could do it. The FDA could do it.
Well, they could. The only thing they could do.
They can take it off the schedule.
Yeah, they could take it off. They could federally take it off the schedule.
That's right.
Wouldn't stop the states.
No, but that would be a huge sea change.
Oh, tremendous! It would be unbelievable.
And the ability for the banks to participate.
Yeah.
Also, it would allow that to happen, so money could flow into those businesses, which is not allowed right now at the federal level. You can still get busted for So it's all small time stuff, which means they're still competing with the drug dealers, and you still the prices are still at drug dealer levels. So you're not helping. We haven't solved the crime problem.
No, one of the reasons they haven't, of course, is they found out that, of course, the states that have, quote, legalized it are looking at this as a big money pit.
Well,
they passed all these taxes and regulations that brought the price back up to where it was cheaper to go.
Monopoly status. They
Right.
granted monopoly status to a bunch of corporate. Well, that's cronyism. I mean,
Yeah.
they instead of going freedom, they went halfway, and they didn't solve any of the problems.
Right.
You got to go the full distance. You know, you got to be able to. You know, the guy's got to be able to sell loosies out on the street corner of either stuff, you know, cigarettes or weed or whatever. Then that's freedom. Then then you're getting, the guy can make a buck doing that, and yet, and that's the kind of freedom that we need right now.
And you could have a bank account.
Yeah,
Of course, right now.
yeah.
Well, so anyway, we've gotten a little bit off the record.
Well, no, we didn't. I mean, to me,
Okay.
this all is under the rubric of law enforcement and the protests. And there were, let's see. I mean, that pretty much goes through it all, except for I have a CHAZ Retrospective.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, which is also kind of falls along the same lines.
Now remember, CHAZ was the 6-block area in the middle of Seattle that
Yeah.
had been cordoned off by the
some people.
Who were they? We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. But what we do know is this: we know that they took the land by force.
Okay.
Right. They conquered the land.
Okay.
Okay. Then they set up a border immediately, which they policed, I guess, arbitrarily, because I don't know if there were any rules promulgated as to who can get in and how, and if there's an appeal process or anything. And it seemed like they just let in who they wanted. They drummed some people out of there, like the preacher, and
Yeah.
and if you're toting an American flag or wearing a MAGA hat or something. And they controlled the press. They silenced the press. They had no phone zones, no picture zones, and everything. They segregated by race. Even they were doing it to help, but they still segregated by race. However you want to call it, they segregated by race, different portions of the community. There was obviously no educate. You know, they said, "Oh, we're having education here," you know, because we did a poetry reading or some bullshit. It's probably the worst. I mean, there's certainly no science going on, and
No.
this is the worst, the shittiest poetry you can imagine, or something.
I remember those in the '60s.
Right.
You know, you would have a poet.
A drum circle, and somebody's going to read.
Well,
their...
before onstage comedy got started, you would go up there and you go. And you recite something, and people would click their fingers.
There you go.
As applauding. That was the way. Hey man, you got it. What you doing, buddy?
Okay. Well, So in the meantime, I'm sure the property thefts, went up the roof there. Of course, vandalism, property destruction was rampant. There was no. I mean, I guarantee you, there were just tons of robberies, and of course, there were a few deaths, which per capita was even out of the range of normal Seattle deaths. They contributed nothing to society as far as anybody can tell. I mean, their garden is going to raise enough crops to feed a couple of them when they get out of prison in 20 years. I mean, it's.
Well, did they actually arrest anybody?
I don't know. I don't know.
I didn't hear it. Now, is it all torn down now?
I think so. I think they cleared the whole thing out.
All back to normal.
Well, I mean, I don't know who's going to repair all those shop windows and things like that.
One of the things that is interesting,
even the federal courthouse.
Right. Well, the police station was burned up.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well, yeah. But
they destroyed that.
In Minneapolis.
Pardon me?
That's in Minneapolis, but.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I got it mixed up. But I wonder. One wonders, of course, when you get to go to repair your store. You call up your insurance company,
right? And they say you're not covered for
terrorism, violence, or whatever it is. You maybe natural, but if we're not paying it. So
you do a GoFundMe. I was in the CHAZ zone and I supported people or something. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that all turns out. But it's just interesting that they violated so many of their own precepts in the creation of their little community.
Yeah.
And. Immediately they had guns and borders and no press and segregation. Immediately, like within days.
Yeah, it's stunningly amazing. I mean, and of course they didn't. One of the things that was kind of interesting was since they didn't have a constitution, it was lawless.
Well, that's what I mean. There was no written anything. There was no appeals.
You couldn't. You're right. No courts. So anybody could walk up and say, "You can't do that here," and you go, "Why?"
Right.
because I say so.
Right.
Well,
and that's how it was run for
right.
those
Mike
days.
makes right.
You know, so yeah.
He who has the guns is, is.
That's what happened. You know, it was Lord of the Flies, and I hope some people learned some things from.
Well, unfortunately, hope is not a business plan, as I've always said.
It's a foundation.
So would you expect that somebody learned a lesson? I don't. I think that people don't.
So I expect that they will, because what will happen is some people will do studies on the thing. It'll be, now of course, in our universities, they'll be lauded as some sort of.
God, the studies. Look, if Cornell West can have a PhD tenured place up in wherever it is, and okay, brother,
the Ivy League is gone. Apparently, I mean, they're sold at this point.
Yeah,
and so.
Well, of course, the same thing is here. They want to change the name of everything. Yale and Princeton, bye-bye. And
yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. They can, they've
venerable 200, or actually institutions that are older than the United States are going down the toilet.
Yeah.
So.
Well.
Okay. Let me just move on.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to move on here. A Colorado town. This is on the COVID business.
Okay.
A Colorado town threatens a year in jail for residents who refuse to wear masks.
Mm-hmm.
Englewood, Colorado, just south of Denver, is requiring all of its residents to wear face masks amid a spike in the coronavirus cases. And violators could face up to a year behind bars with a hefty fine. Mm-hmm. The emergency order issued by the city manager. The city manager.
I got this right here.
I got this. The city manager.
That's it.
That was approved by the city council.
Oh.
And went to effect on this last Thursday. It states that everyone over the age of 6.
Holy shit.
Will be required to wear a mask while outside their homes. Now, what's fascinating about this is you got a 7-year-old on a bicycle. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, this is way beyond the lemonade stand girl, whatever it is, the licensing or whatever.
Yeah. Well, we were going to see where the petty dictators arise.
Well, this is one of them.
Yeah.
Face masks must be worn inside any retail or commercial business, governmental office, or healthcare facility, including veterinary offices. They must also be worn while waiting for or riding in public transportation, as well as inside taxis or other ride-sharing vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
So, face masks are not required inside personal offices as long as co-workers are working with at least 6 feet away from you. So they've got so if you're 6 feet away in a closed environment, you don't have to have a mask. Now, what does that tell you? I mean, that tells you something. And so,
it tells you that the methods that they're using are inspecific and not scientific. It's a feel-good policy. I'm sorry, the masks are a feel-good policy. You do it to make everybody feel a little safer. You don't do it because it's going to actually help much. It might help a little bit in the transfer. It might, but it might not.
Well, the whole point is, as we talked about this before, nobody has ever said that there are going to be fewer coronavirus cases when they did this leveling out business. Same number,
right?
It's just going to be spread out over so that the hospitals wouldn't be overloaded.
Right.
That was the only reason for it.
Right.
We don't want we know you're going to get sick. We know this is whatever it is. We know a certain number of people are going to die. But what we would like to do is we're going to do these draconian measures.
The only question is now: are we entering a new phase of where the hospitals would be overwhelmed?
And of course, here in Alachua County, the answer is no.
Well, right. Well, not. Yeah, that's true. In Alachua County, I also have a little slideshow here of a few things. Which shows, whoops, that's not it. That's the wrong one. Wait, hold on.
Got her. You shoot them up, lady.
All right, well, this is a slideshow of various scenes from there. This is coronavirus survival rate right there. I mean, if you're under 30, this thing isn't even the flu. And here's some that tracks the tests, the new cases, the old cases, and the deaths. And
well, that's a little confusing. I don't get it. I mean,
Well, what you can see there is the orange, and here's July goes crazy here. I'm sure things will be normal back to July. It's sorry if you're hearing this in audio, I guess it makes no sense. But the bottom line is here's Sweden, And the bottom line is that deaths and hospitalizations are still plummeting.
Okay.
And so, yes, Florida had the highest number of increase in cases today of any state for any single day.
Okay.
15,000, still a relatively low number. And, overall, in terms of Florida's overall rate of infection is still relatively low. And our deaths are continuing to drop.
Right.
So it looks like we have achieved the herd immunity and there won't be any problem. There's still just enough noise out there though for everybody to wait like one more week. I think the spike today was concerning, but there was some indication that they're counting past positives.
Yeah.
So I don't know that if that's noise or fake news or what. I don't know which one is fake news.
Well, see, that's what you just said was something else. Even the top men, the experts, they continually say, we've learned a lot, but we don't know much about this. We don't know what's going on here. We don't know. This is all brandy new, and we've learned a lot in the last 3 or 4 months. And of course, then there's as you say, the real noise is in who's going to come up with the virus, who's going to be with the inoculation, and on. And they got 4 or 5 people working on it. I saw a thing here that said the plasma people were supposed to be doing. If you could get the plasma from somebody who had the antibodies, you could take their blood and put it. They thought there was a big, huge article about this, and they said, but we don't know.
Yeah. Well,
not approved. We don't know.
The entire thing has only been on the scene for 6 months.
Right.
So that makes sense that they don't know at this point.
No, well,
and they're not going to know. But it's interesting that we've still got people trying one size fits all policies here.
Yes.
There's still a bunch of people who believe in central authority and that everybody has to comply. Well, and there's a lot of people in the public who, the first message on my Facebook today was wear your goddamn mask, and it's like.
But these are the people there. I was reading a fairly extensive article about how that is really the petty. You've got brainwashed people that are convinced that if I don't have my mask on, that I'm killing people, and of course. If Granny, who had a lung transplant several years ago and she's 84 years old, she needs to stay home. She needs to, not me, not everybody around her, not the whole neighborhood.
Well, that's the thing that people aren't realizing, like the city manager. They got a problem. They can't order healthy, innocent people to do stuff. That's not the way the laws work.
Well, that's the way they're doing it.
I know, but that's not the way the laws work. You don't order people to do stuff. You can. I know.
The city manager.
Exactly. I know, and he has zero authority. That's another problem. And like you said, maybe it was his proposal, and he got Bill and Bob down at the city commission to approve it or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But still, it's just interesting that people have in their minds convinced themselves that the government can do stuff like this.
Well, let me read this little quote. Here's what you do. You persuade the people that the menace they face, imaginary or not, is so sinister, so overwhelming, so fearsome, that the only way to surmount the danger is by empowering the government to take all necessary steps to quash it, even if that means allowing government jackboots to trample all over the Constitution.
Well, right, and it's I think it's worse than that actually. I think that there are people out there who are convinced that the government actually has the authority, and that it's just a question of.
Well, they do, because as Mao pointed out, all the stuff comes out of the point of a gun.
Well, they have the power.
Right.
And
might makes right.
Right. But there's power and then there's authority. If you could draw sort of a line between them, and you can say that they have the ability to do it, and they issue these orders, and people are going to follow them, and the guys with guns are going to go out there and do it. But if they were to get challenged in the courts, you sort of you hope.
Yeah, you hope, right.
You hope that the courts would look at this and say, by the way, there's simply no authority anywhere for anybody to order healthy, innocent people to do anything. That's not what the government does. We have a body of laws out there which says if you make contracts with people, you have to honor your contracts. If you commit crimes, they can punish you. But there's no body of law out there where they just say, well, you have to go do X. I mean, you have to wear...
They got away with it once.
Well, you mean in this whole thing?
In the healthcare plan, when they mandated that you...
That's right, the penalty thing.
Right, the penalty.
But that was tossed out.
Yeah, finally.
Ultimately, and you're right. But that was an incredible divergence from our previous law.
Right.
Because of John Roberts or whatever.
Right.
But that's exactly the kind of thing that they're trying to do now. This affirmative, you have to wear a mask. If they can tell you that you can wear a mask, then they can tell you that you can wear a MAGA hat. You have to wear a MAGA hat. I mean, you can imagine a scenario whereby they say, look, your masks aren't working.
How about a yellow star?
How about exactly? Or how about a tattoo on you?
Yeah.
Your number there.
That's right.
Because
how about a
chip that identifies whether or not you've got the vaccine or not.
Right.
And you have to get the vaccine, or you can't operate your business or whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot of weird things that are being floated around out there, and they're all unconstitutional. And this is just another example.
Well, it is really just stunning.
I mean, it can be for your own good all day long, but it doesn't make it constitutional. The thing about it is,
why, once you go down that path,
right,
you can insist that everybody walk a mile every day. You can insist they lift weights. You can, and then how are you going to enforce it? You're going to have a sheriff or somebody on every corner. I mean,
arbitrarily is how you would enforce it.
And that's what they're doing here. They did, in fact, they have put some deputies in front of a couple of the food stores,
right,
to make sure that people are doing the social distancing. And if you go out here to the various stores around here, you'll see spots on the thing that are 6 feet apart. And of course, my question is, let's assume for the moment, which I'm going to talk about this later, let's assume for the moment that this all dries up by, let's say, November. Are they going to be able to take up the strips, and are they going to say, okay, it's all okay, we're open? I don't think so. I mean, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. Public, they'll one-way aisles will be a thing of the past and that kind of stuff.
But the thing about it is, once they've done it once, this is the consummate slippery slope. And that is, once they've done it once, they can do it again.
Maybe, I had said in the beginning that I thought that there would be some blanket prohibitions that come out of the federal government or out of some powers which say, you can't do this or that, like sue, for example, or not sue. And there might be some other things like this. Somebody needs to sue the federal government to prove that they don't have the ability to force you to wear a mask. Now, look, I'm not anti-mask from the standpoint of, it's not that I want people to not wear their masks. I want it to be your choice. Okay? I wear mine, but I wear it below my nose so that I can still breathe, but just so that I don't sneeze on anybody. It's like, okay, so I'm not giving it to you, but I'm not worried about getting it through. I'm not worried about the mask preventing me. Like, that's not going to happen.
It's interesting that if you do happen to do a cough in the line or something, I suppose that's an assault.
Well, no, it's involuntary. That's where they draw the line.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah,
for now.
Is. Yeah, exactly. For now,
the Supreme Court rules that about half of here's the headline. The Supreme Court rules that about half of Oklahoma is Native American land.
Yeah.
Not really. That's not exactly what they...
Yeah, I didn't even read it because I was like,
that was the headline.
Right.
And suddenly, I saw the map.
Yeah.
And literally, it was the entire eastern half of Oklahoma. And of course, this, as I'm sure that everybody remembers, the one horrible, horrible thing that Jackson did was the Trail of Tears.
Right.
And he kicked them all out and said, okay, you can go have Oklahoma. And that's where they moved, about 4 or 5 of the tribes, and they marched them out to Oklahoma and said, this is your land now. Well, not so fast.
All of this desert.
Yeah, that's right. Well, not so fast. So
until we come back.
Yeah, well, so anyway, what's happened is the deal was that the headline seems to indicate that now finally the Supreme Court has said, yep, it's your land, you can have it. Of course, it includes Tulsa and some other places like that. Well, no. It had to do with jurisdiction only, and it had to do with. It said today we asked whether these whether the land these treaties promised remains an Indian reservation for purposes of federal criminal law. Because Congress has not said otherwise, we hold the government to its word, says Gorsuch. He wrote the majority opinion. And
so that means they can open a casino on it or something, right?
no, what they've said is, interestingly enough, Roberts wrote the dissenting opinion this time. He wrote the decision will undermine numerous convictions obtained by the state, as well as the state's ability to prosecute serious crimes committed in the future. So what they said was basically that the reservation Indian, they had the jurisdiction over the crimes committed in their territory. But that's all.
Okay.
It was a jurisdictional dispute. That's all. You don't own it.
Right.
And it's not like anybody's land is going to get confiscated.
Yeah.
But it was a purely jurisdictional, and of course the way the headline read was that suddenly the Redskins. Oh shit! I'm sorry. That name is going to go out the window. You saw that?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The Redskins. So anyway, the rulings that these lands are in fact reservations doesn't mean the tribe owns all the land within the reservation, just like the county doesn't own all the land within the county. In fact, it probably doesn't own very much of that land. This is not what a reservation is these days. So apparently it's just a jurisdictional thing.
Yeah.
About
that makes
crimes.
sense.
Yeah. So speaking of Redskins. Let me just see here. It was one of my last things here.
Yeah, the Redskins and the Chiefs. You know what? You wonder, like, I guess if you're Native American, you're entitled to your own opinion and you can say whatever you want. But I'm here to tell you that when a kid puts on a Chiefs hat, they're not thinking negatively of the Indians.
Well, I can tell you,
they're just not.
As I grew up with wearing a bonnet, feathered thing, and carrying a rifle, and my neighbors' kids were wearing, Roy Rogers or Gene Autry with the cap guns.
And now you hate those people.
I know. Now I hate those people. That's right.
I hate Cowboys.
The Washington National Football League says the change is imminent. They've been browbeat into it and the teams are told to remove the logo. The potential name change comes amid recent renewed calls for Washington. Let's see, the guy Don Snyder's the head guy down there. Let's see, that 87 investment firms with an estimated $620 billion in assets sent letters to PepsiCo, FedEx, asking him to sever ties with Washington until the team changes name. FedEx, and of course this is part of the cancel culture, which we've talked about a little bit. FedEx, which has sponsored Washington Stadium since 1998, told the CNN Business on July that it formally requested the franchise change its nickname. We have communicated to the team that our request that they change the team name. And they said they were and of course then the owner of the Redskins said they're changing the name is under a full review. And I thought it was interesting that the franchise, the Washington Redskins, of course they weren't originally the Washington Redskins, they were the Boston Redskins. And they were in 1933 they moved to Washington. After relocating to Washington, D.C. before the 1937 season. So I grew up in Washington. Of course, they were Washington Redskins when I grew up, and I would go down and watch them. Okay, but I thought this was interesting that they've called them, and this is. And
you were always thinking, man, those dirty Redskins.
Right? It was funny.
Go Redskins! I hate Indians.
No, but I mean, I believe when my dad took me down to watch the Redskins games that I probably wore a war bonnet.
Right. Sure.
You know, I was one of them.
Right. Exactly.
Go Sonny. No, what was his name? Sonny Baum. There was a quarterback who was really famous back then. Anyway.
Well, what?
I was just saying that it's interesting that as we've said, the name change is a frenzy. And you get, this is the classic case of you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. But it is stunning to see everybody is offended now by this stuff. And here, I was reading an editorial here in locally. And a matter of fact, I might put this up on my YouTube page. There was an article about, it was written in our local Alligator newspaper. This is the newspaper for the
what a piece of trash.
Yeah, for the University of Florida.
It's famous for telling you what stuff just happened.
Well,
as opposed to what's going to happen.
I don't know about that. Isn't that what newspapers all about?
No, it should tell you today, tomorrow there's a parade or whatever.
Yeah.
The
Okay,
alligator
well,
always says, yesterday you missed a great parade, which happened yesterday.
They do it in our local mullet wrapper too.
Uh-huh.
But one of the things that they said they had these big long op-ed pieces, 2 of them, that took almost the entire alligator this week, about people of color, I guess, that said how they were offended every day. Now these were people that were seniors and graduating, and for 4 years they had marched past the Wright Center and some other places. There are 6 buildings at the university that are named after supposed racists or Confederates or
And they
whatever.
took offense every day
every day, and I'm sitting there thinking, if halfway through your freshman year, all you do is to buckle down, study your brains out, and transfer. If this, you're not required to spend 4 years here, being offended every single day when you walk across campus. What kind of life is that?
Well, look, and my thought on all these issues is the same, which is you take them all individually, and who knows, maybe this person had some specific impairment and they're offended by everything, or maybe they're totally in the right, for their position. Who knows? I mean, that one sounds silly. But my point is that all these people who come out and say, like the cancel culture thing, and they say, oh, so-and-so said X, and then they're racist, right? And then that person comes out and says, I apologize, whatever it was, right? Maybe they are, I mean, who knows? If they're going to come out and apologize, then maybe you are, But if I'm the Redskins owner, or if I'm the Chiefs or whoever, I'm going to say, go pound sand. I'm going to say, that's not the way we intend it. It's presented in a positive light, and too bad. And if you're offended, get over it.
Look, we're the Redskins, and we're winners.
That's right. Exactly.
We're winners.
Exactly.
We expect to win the conference.
Exactly.
We'll show you, by God.
We're the champions. We're the winners. We're the prevalent. We're celebrating the Chiefs. I mean, all the positive things. That's what we are. All the positive things, and that's the way. And so each individual person gets to decide how they're going to stand up for that.
Well, the way you decide is either you go to the game or you don't.
Exactly. Exactly.
You buy a ticket or you don't. I'm so insulted. Well, you can bet that if the now of course COVID is now, a lot of stadiums are limiting themselves to 25% because of
well, don't cross the streams here. Don't cross.
Okay, I'm sorry. But in a non-COVID day, if suddenly attendance drops, and you did a little interview and they said, because I don't like the name.
That's it.
That's when the market would figure it out.
If they change the name to the Losers,
yeah, right.
and then they try to sell that merchandise, and then nobody shows up. Well, guess what? That you own it, okay? And literally, and
well,
and
wait. Speaking of changing the name, it's funny you should mention that, because I remember one very, very famous case, and that was when Coke came out with a new Coke.
Oh yeah, perfect.
I mean, and how long did that last?
Like, I don't know,
2 weeks, a month?
No, I think it was like 8 months. I mean,
might have been, but it took that long to get through the bubureaucracy.
Yeah,
but the simple fact was,
people
you got to be
lining up.
Yeah,
I was hot.
I know you were alone, but I mean, it was so funny to see the as far as a giant corporation like Coca-Cola, when you figure they got bottling companies literally all over the world, you do understand.
Oh man, you can get a Coke in the jungle in Peru. There's a vending machine there. You come up on it, and you put like a coconut in it, and it pops out
a cocoa nut. I like it. Okay. No, but the fact is that you're right. The second most recognized word on the planet,
Coca-Cola,
is Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
You know what the first is?
Okay.
Okay, that's right. So thank you. I've told you that before. All right.
Well, here's what, to wrap that up about the cancel culture thing. I think the cancel culture is fine from the standpoint of, look, that's a public shaming thing, and that's a perfectly acceptable way for society to change.
Yeah, but it gets to be blackmail. It gets to be. It gets to be right, but there's a difference. What do you call it? Intimidation, or what do you call it?
Extortion.
Extortion.
That's right.
Like Sharpton and those people.
It's not exactly, because because I mean, the difference is that you're not threatening any harm that you're not already doing. Extortion is you're gonna tell something horrible about the person or whatever. And so you want them to give you some money or whatever. This is you're telling the truth about the person. Truth is a defense to libel and slander. You can say horrible things about a person if they're true, because we value the truth in the society, and it's perfectly okay. Now look, if you want to influence somebody's behavior, okay, if you want somebody to change, the best thing to do is to tell them about the behavior in private. You tell it to you explain what's wrong, and you tell them the positive behavior that you want in private. And then they can change without having to go through a big rigmarole of the ego thing and all that kind of stuff. It interferes a lot if you're called out in public, because your initial...
It's called saving face.
Exactly. And the Japanese know this very well.
So do the Chinese, absolutely. You that's one of the problems, I think, with the Japanese and the Chinese cultures, is you can do something and have them lose face, and you don't know it because you're not part of that culture.
Well,
you can make a mistake.
That's up to you. You got to learn. That's part of the cultural learning.
I was watching a YouTube on this, and the guy was saying, how
you want to let people save face in all circumstances if you can, and that goes along with advising people. You don't advise people how to do something in front of everybody.
Right.
You advise them behind the scenes so that they can go out and steal the thunder and take the thunder, because it's their job. And so that's the way you get people to change. It's the easiest, it's the most effective. But if it fails, if they don't change, if you tell them what the right thing to do is and they don't do it, the only thing you can do, the next step, actually it's the only thing, but the next step is to call it out in public and say, look, this is what you should be doing. Doesn't everybody agree with me? Kind of a thing. And advertisers or whoever you are. And if they do, then they jump on board the ship. And then everybody gets to decide individually, do I support this thing? Do I not? The Goya Foods guy came out and said, F off, I support Trump. Too bad.
Yeah.
Buy my food or don't. And so...
the backlash has been people are putting, I've seen on the thing where they went out and they've never bought it before, but they bought cases of it, and they took it down to the food bank or whatever.
Look, so it works both ways.
Yeah, it does.
And at the end of the day, it all comes out in the wash.
That's right. The market works.
That's right. And so I'm perfectly okay with the cancel culture to the extent that it's just public shaming. If you're gonna, employers have to know if their employee has crossed some line somewhere that it's really going to cost them in the business. How about Colin Kaepernick? Is he going to kneel down? Are they going to fire him for that because he's doing something on the job? The NFL lost a lot of attendance after that whole blow up. It'll be interesting to see. Of course, now we got the cross streams with the COVID thing again, but it'll be interesting to see what if he comes back, if people attend the games, that kind of stuff. But everybody gets to vote with their dollars. And,
it was interesting because Nike picked him up, as you know. Because
they made him the face of the thing.
Made him the face of Nike.
And they earned like $1 billion in no time.
Right.
And it was a great thing. It was a perfect way for the market to figure out what's right and what's not. So I have no problem with that.
Okay, well, let me just see here, move on. We're getting a little off the schedule here because I got a couple things left.
Keep going.
I thought this was kind of interesting in a way, but I found out it's been done before. Residents of Tenino, Washington State are eligible for up to $300 in wooden banknotes.
Oh, God.
Now, this has happened. I saw this happen in Massachusetts one time in a town where they issued script. It was only available, you could go down and it was a one-to-one thing. You could go down and get $300. Or I guess what they do is issue to people, in this particular case, if you're a needy person, you can go to the town and get this script. Or it's a piece of wood. It reminds us all of the wooden nickel. Mm-hmm. And what it is, it's only good in the town. It has the town's name on it, so it's only good on the merchants in that town, and it counts as money.
Right.
So they print their own money, good in the town, and I thought... Well, it says town less than 2,000 people, is located southwest of Seattle. So anyway, they started printing the local banknotes in April. And so anyone with a documented loss of income as a result of the pandemic is eligible up to $300 a month in wooden money. And businesses up and down the main street accept the wooden note for anything except fun. Except alcohol, tobacco, cannabis, and lottery tickets. Can't use that for any of those things.
Okay.
Everything else is apparently is legit. I thought that was kind of fun.
Well, it's interesting, and I wholly support the effort. Unfortunately, the federal government is going to shut them down.
No, I don't think so.
Well, the only reason they wouldn't is because it's a town of 2,000 people.
Well,
Let me tell you something. You mention the word currency,
yeah.
and the feds swoop in.
Yeah, they do.
Like the wraiths. I mean, they do not like anybody playing.
Even if it's tongue in cheek, a joke.
That's what I'm saying.
They will come. They will put you in jail. What was the guy with the silver dollars?
That's it, Mr. Von Nothouse.
Yeah.
And still in prison, I think, or if he's not, he certainly spent time there. And yeah, because he was selling silver dollars for $20 a piece, calling them freedom dollars or something, liberty dollars or something, and
The fact that they had dollar on it was what killed him.
well, yeah. I mean, the fact that here's the thing, that killed him is that he was successful.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And let me tell you something, that's why I say, this town of 2,000, okay, sure, bring that shit into Seattle, see how long it lasts. Because they will not let that,
but of course
any large municipality even play monopoly money.
Well, I don't know if it says on. Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, because it's got to say on there someplace $1. Even if it says redeemable for only in this town, even.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
I mean, there's
still.
a fine line between a coupon and $1.
Yeah.
It gets real. Like I said, if they start using the word currency, if they start
Boom!
Exactly, man.
That's right.
They'll shut that down in no time. Now that is really, if we wanted to take a second step, that would be probably the biggest one step in the right direction that we could possibly make for the country and for the divide between the rich and poor and the haves and the have-nots and the 1% and the 99 and the blacks and the whites and everything. It would be to reestablish sound money.
Oh yeah.
If they would just attach it to something and just, for the love of God, quit printing the hell out of it. And because people don't realize how much it's going to cost. And it's not going to cost. Did you see the list of where the bailout money went?
Oh, I'm sure it went to the banks and people.
And rich people.
Rich people.
Floyd Mayweather got money.
Yeah.
Tom Brady got money. Peter Schiff came out and said all the hedge funds got money. I mean, rich people, really rich people. Floyd Mayweather has $100 million if he's got a dime. If the money's going to people like him, where do you think it's coming from?
Well, here's the deal, though. This is what's interesting about this is, you know what, they rail and rant against trickle down.
Right.
And here they are, they're saying, well, these companies, it'll trickle down into that's what, I'm saying, wait, you can't have it both ways.
That's exactly what they want, is having it both ways. And the fact is that the biggest thing that the biggest tragedy in the last 6 months is not the COVID and the deaths and everything. It's the trillions of dollars. It's the disruption to the entire economy, because that ultimately caused a lot more misery and suffering than than anything else. But yeah, Kanye West, Robert De Niro. I mean.
Wait a minute, I'm not done yet with Kanye West.
Okay.
I'm not done with Kanye West.
Oh, okay.
You know, he's picked his vice president.
Oh, he has?
Yes.
Really?
You know, he's running for president.
Is he gonna do it?
Yes. Wait a minute, it gets better. Kanye West, his vice president, has an odd take on mental health.
My wife.
No. The woman Kanye West has pegged for his vice president describes herself as a biblical life coach. But she also has a mental health background. Yeah, well.
Yeah, I bet she does.
Well, wait a minute, it gets better. It gets better. And some of her past statements are subject, well, they're interesting. And her name, I love this, her name is Michelle Tidball.
Oh, God.
Well, wait a minute. Of course, as soon as I say this,
Tudball.
Yeah, Tudball. I'm reminded of the Conway.
Yeah.
Tim Conway's Mrs. Tidball.
Mr. Tudball.
Come in here, and he was the Norwegian guy. Anyway, Michelle Tidball is a, quote, obscure preacher from Wyoming. Kanye named as his running mate an instantly infamous interview with Forbes, although not so much is known about her. She claims She has various degrees in mental health and criminal justice. And this article said, we've confirmed that she has a BA in psychology from the University of Wyoming in 2003, and she has worked as a mental health therapist for 10 years before transitioning to a life coaching to help people get unstuck in their lives using biblical principles and wisdom. So, this is exciting that Kanye, running for president, now he's the only one
That's chosen a vice.
that has chosen a vice president,
Yeah.
and here she is.
Well, he's on the ball.
And she's white, by the way.
Ooh.
Yeah, so no, this is good news. So this is
The other demographic, it's a woman.
demographic thing, that's right.
Is
Here's,
she a real woman or is she a...
well, I'm sure, I'm going to assume yes. I'm going to assume yes, she is. I saw a picture of her, and she, yeah, let's assume, I realize what we say about
What do
this.
we mean by that?
Yeah, what do we mean by that? That she's a real, but she's white, and
Well...
and so anyway, but I thought this interesting that
All right, I
Biden
gotta-
hasn't picked his.
I-
We don't know about Pence either for sure.
Well, yeah. Okay, well, let me ask you about that. I mean, I asked you last week about Kanye and about getting on the ballot and stuff. I mean, he's got a bunch of cash.
Hmm?
Could he... I mean, do you really think he's going to do it?
No,
Yeah, me neither.
no. He's turned Christian.
Yeah.
His latest big seller, number uno, whatever, is a bunch of Christian-like songs.
Yeah, he's been doing like appearances in churches and
exactly. So that's fine.
stuff. Yeah.
But the question,
I don't see him going through with it.
even if he does, it'll be like the Green Party or somebody like that. I mean,
Yeah,
it'll be
probably. But it could totally disrupt the election.
as we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
So no problem. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I know.
that's the beauty of here in the United States. You can upset these things all the time.
Yeah.
Ross Perot and
Yeah.
and Ralph Nader.
Yeah.
And people like that. I mean, it's just it's all
It
kinds.
happens.
It happens. That's right. Deal with it. Okay.
Right.
We're still the systemic problems that the United States has nothing to do that much with the president and the elections and stuff.
Yeah, I know.
It has to do with the government is spending 40% of the money that the people make.
I think you could do a fair amount with executive orders undoing the alphabet soup
Oh yeah, you
situation.
could. You could. That's right. But in the meantime, you would certainly, obviously, piss off a lot of people, which would be fine.
Yeah.
If you want to get in there for 4 years and be a one-term president, you could
Just stir the pot.
You could stir the pot. That's right. And one of the ways you
Man,
would do
these
it
days it's
is
like
you would get when the budget came through, you'd just cross off. The Department of Education gone, Department of Energy gone, Department of Transportation gone. Slash, and you'd get your $4.5 trillion budget down to $2.5 trillion. Okay, well, too bad.
Yeah, wait, 4.5. We're down to 4.5.
I think so.
No, eight and a half. We got well, it's
No, the budget.
No,
You
I know, but the spending.
Oh yeah, the spending, right? Yeah. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting. He asked about Kanye West getting money. So now he's running for president, and so that's fine. That's looking good.
He got money and running for president.
Now,
Well,
speaking of money, let me finish this off. Real
Okay,
quick.
go ahead.
The NASA is spending a space robot to an asteroid worth more than the global economy. Now, I'm sitting there thinking, no, not really. Now, what it is, this is by 2026. They're going to maybe land this thing. They're launching it like
Solid
this year.
gold or something.
Just about. Look. You doesn't have to be that much when you figure.
Oh, yeah.
When you figure that all the gold ever mined so far would fit into a 1 mile cube.
Oh, it's like a 60-foot cube or something.
No,
No, it's tiny. I mean,
it's tiny. Anyway, this asteroid
it's
is
not
large.
100 meters.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
This asteroid is a hell of a lot larger than that.
Yeah, but then the problem.
They're talking about it's all metal.
Yeah.
They think it might be the core of a planet or something.
Right.
And what they're saying is that.
Well, that I was about to say, because see, that's the problem, is that you'd have to specifically identify one that used to be something like that.
That's what they're.
Okay.
That's why they're sending the probe there. That's why they're doing it.
Okay, fine.
So NASA's going to launch the robot in August of 2022, and the spacecraft is called Psyche. It's interesting. Once it gets there, we'll explore the metal-rich asteroid that boasts iron, nickel, and gold. after its launch using the Falcon Heavy rocket, it will fly past Mars in 2023 and begin orbiting the asteroid in 2026, 6 years from now. Now, if in fact it is that great a thing, when you think about it, when they found the oil up North Alaska, whatever it is, it took them a number of years to build the pipeline and everything to get it done. I mean, you have to look forward into that. Now, the other question is, let's assume for the moment that this asteroid is, I don't know how big it is, as big as, half the size of the United States or something. I mean, I don't know how big it is. It's, well, whatever.
Manhattan, whatever.
Yeah, whatever, right. It's, maybe, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 miles across in a spherical thing. So anyway, they find out that, sure enough, it's got not your 20 meters cube of gold, but it's got 20,000 meters of gold.
Right.
Well, you have to ask yourself, what's that going to do to the economy? You can say the bottom line is, once you flood, let's assume they do it, and they find that there's gold and nickel and iron worth untold trillions. All it means is the price of that stuff's going to drop to nothing.
Right.
So that's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, it would be like finding, another Arabian oil field that you could, tap your heel in the ground and get a billion or 2 billion barrels of oil. Well, what do you think is going to happen to the price? So yeah, everybody would sort of get rich in stuff.
Yeah.
But you still have to mine it and get it back here and everything like that.
Yeah.
So but what I'm saying is, when they say it's worth more than the entire world economy.
Yeah, that's tongue in cheek.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Okay. Well, that is pretty much just saying that I thought that NASA's getting invested in that 6 years from now.
Elon will be on that if it's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's great. So the only other thing I had. Do you have anything special?
I had a couple of quick science updates. You remember the big dust cloud?
Yeah.
So here's the time lapse sunset from. This is what the end result was. And
where was this taken?
This is off the coast of Florida, I think. No. This is up in the Hamptons or someplace, I think.
Really? That far north?
I think so.
No, the dust cloud was mostly supposed to go through Central America.
Maybe it was North Carolina then. This was Jim Cantori.
Well, it's not a sunset in North Carolina. It'd be a sunrise.
Oh, that's right. So it is. Now this is a sunset, so maybe it is Florida. Whoops.
Well, it could be also the. It could be also the Pacific coast of Mexico or someplace.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm going to go with Florida then again because Jim Cantori. Anyway, it was beautiful red.
Well,
sunset.
That's what happens, right?
Right, exactly. As opposed to everybody dying.
Right. Oh yeah.
I'm just saying.
No masks for that either.
Right. Now this right here, this is an automatic, portable, self-driving vending machines in China that they have now, and this thing just drives around, and like you can order it on your phone, and it like pulls up with some food, and you show it your phone or whatever, and then
now you know what that's good for.
What?
That could automate
booze.
The ice cream trucks. You remember the?
Oh right, exactly.
Ding ding ding.
No, that's what
you would always wait. And all you do is screw your phone.
Yeah.
You could tell it to stop maybe, but it'd be the little ding-a-ling that the Good Humor Man used to have, and it'd be all filled up with frozen ice.
Yeah. So what you do is you get an app on your phone when one of these things comes within a certain distance of you, it dings your phone.
That's right.
And then you
come up and you
within
can order
5 minutes of ice cream.
That's right. And you have an ice cream. You could have a Klondike bar,
right,
or a cone,
yeah,
or a popsicle. Yeah, sure. Okay,
that's what it is. I mean, incredible. Good stuff. Good stuff there.
Elon Musk, by the way, has said that his totally autonomous car should be ready real soon now.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like in the next year or two.
Okay.
Maybe
well, I know that they've upgraded their autonomous structures, but apparently you have to pay a bunch extra to get the high tech driving.
Yeah. Look,
you're already in for a penny there.
Yeah. Look, when you think about high tech, okay, I remember when I bought my first VCR.
Okay.
It was like $900. It had a TV tuner in it, but it was no cable. It was your regular 3 channels. It had a tuner in it, and of course you had to put the thing in, and I believe it had a timer on it. I'm pretty sure it had, but it's $900. Okay, today, you go down here and $50 tops, you can get a used one. I mean, that does way more than that.
Yeah.
So I expect that once this stuff hits the thing, this is the way it always is.
Yeah.
Everything starts off outrageously expensive.
Well, Tesla has gone up 300%.
Oh, it is now worth more than. Is it worth more than Amazon? No, it's worth more than Bill Gates, I think.
No, Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. That's
And every other car manufacturer on the planet.
yeah, unbelievable. Isn't that just great?
Go Elon. Yep.
You got anything else?
Not really.
Okay, I do have a couple things.
Okay.
I got a couple of local things here.
Okay.
Locally, what this is your government in action.
Okay.
Mrs. Jimmy went up to go swimming today at our public pool, which is an Olympic-sized pool.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and it's laned off and everything like that, and
Towers and everything.
Everything has got everything up there. So she went up there, and it is I think it's like $3 or $4 to get in, and they've got locker rooms and everything. She went up there to go swimming because it's 90 some degrees these days here. So she went up there and they said, we're closed. And she says, what? And she looked out and she saw people using the pool. 3 people. Now this pool holds hundreds.
Yeah.
Okay. But even with social distancing, it could hold 100 easy.
Yeah.
There were 3 people using the pool. And who were they? They were the staff. That's why the pool was closed. The people that had to answer the phone
were using it.
They were using it. And so she said, they said, well, you have to call in and make a reservation.
Yeah.
A day ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was just, of course, if I'd been there, I would have tried to, I think they're unshameable.
Take off all your clothes and jump in.
Just about.
Come and get me.
Come and get me, right. But the point is that here's your government in action. Here's a pool that is, the maintenance on this thing must be, I don't know, thousands of dollars a month.
Yeah.
And they are denying, the only people that go there are the people they're paying to be there.
Right.
The staff.
Yeah.
And this is all the COVID business. I mean, the stunning, and they looked at Ms. Jimmy with a straight face and said, well, you have to call in a day in advance and make a reservation.
That's right.
And I'm thinking,
there's a lane right there.
well,
right there.
I guess you also might have to make a reservation for the time.
You do.
Yeah, so I want to swim between 3:30 and 4:30.
That's what you say.
And, yeah, and
they're hour segments, 50 minutes.
it's unbelievable. I mean, this is the government at work, which makes no sense at all. So anyway, not to be outdone, we called up Blue Springs.
Oh yeah.
This is one of our government-owned parks.
Right.
Is now open from 8 to 8.
Okay.
Very nice. It's really nice. It used to have a really nice boardwalk that ran down. Well, that's all torn up now.
Really? I thought they put it back.
No, they haven't fixed it.
Mm.
They only charge $6 a car to get in.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out that the way it works is when they're filled, as they do in some places, when they fill, they close the gate.
Yeah.
Nobody else allowed in. The little minor thing is, as you well know, I don't care who you are. Now, it's usually filled by 8:30 in the morning. 30 minutes you have to get there, and then they close the gate. So then you might say, well, what happens like in a restaurant or in the food store when somebody leaves, you get to go in.
Mm-hmm.
No, they close and everybody goes home. All the gatekeepers go, wait a minute. So that means the people that showed up there at 8:30. Now you know that this place is open till 8 o'clock. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Nobody is staying there for more than a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody. You could have kids, everything you ever wanted out there, but they're
5 hours later,
they're going to be screaming to go home.
Right.
I want to go eat. I'm all wilty.
Yeah.
My fingers. I mean, what the hell are you talking about? So you know that the place is probably emptied out by noon, and they could No.
Well, that's the difference. It used to be private, Blue
Yes,
Springs.
that's right.
And they sold beer
Yes.
and burgers and stuff. But
I think they still do sell burgers.
they've been taking back the springs from people for a while.
Yes, they have.
People used to have homes right on them and stuff, and they would confiscate those and take them and all to preserve it for nobody.
Yeah.
So
I just thought these were two instances of your government in because Ginny Springs up here is still private, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. And can you have beer up there?
yeah, I think so.
Okay. So I mean that's, but how long it's going to be before they're going to take that one over?
I don't know. It won't be. I mean, if the trend continues, they won't have it forever.
They have to own everything.
Yeah.
It's for your own good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Andy, we were over time.
All right.
Thank you.
See if anybody. Hey, Scott, you think Trump's going to drop out? No. No chance. I don't think so. All right. Thank you, Kevin MacLeod, for this track and the other one that we started off with. We appreciate it. We'll be back again on the 15th of July. And you can join us then. So, we'll see you soon.